The same job people with papers pay is $20 per hour. For me, $10.
Jesus, an undocumented migrant worker located just outside of Montreal, is barely making minimum wage, while his coworkers with status are making much more than him. In this episode of Local 514, we'll focus on Jesus' experiences and the exploitation of migrants in the workforce. I'm Savannah Craig, and you're watching Local 514. Jesus left Mexico as a result of violence, coming to Canada with the hope of safety.
The gangsters, if you oppose, they kill. I see 5, 6 men kill other person. The screams of this person, sometimes in the night, I hear his voice. Fue el último que pude soportar.
In Montreal, there are approximately 50,000 non-status immigrants. Non-status people often work in delivery services, construction, hospitality, healthcare, warehouses, and a lot of jobs that are essential to the everyday function of our society. But without status, they are left in precariousness, without access to healthcare, legal rights, and social services. This leaves them vulnerable to exploitation in the workplace.
When the people know him, you don't have papers, everything changes. You are more human. You are just a machine. I'm working 12 hours every day. I'm working all the week.
Eloy Rivas Sanchez is a professor of sociology and spokesperson for Solidarity Across Borders.
I'm going to pay you $10 even though I pay $25 to a local person. If a person says $10 or $15 per hour per worker, in a day, it's almost $100, right? So there is an economic incentive to people to abuse workers, undocumented workers, and that shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening at all.
It's not always directly the employers that exploit migrant workers, but sometimes the exploitation is conducted by temp agencies. Stefan Christophe and Mustafa Henaway of the Immigrant Workers Center in Côte-des-Neiges have accompanied many clients exploited by temp agencies.
The corporation uses something that's called employment agencies, which are basically ways for companies to outsource the labor responsibilities they have under law.
The benefit of them using a lot of these temp agencies is that, well, I didn't know who they were hiring. I didn't know how bad the pay really was. And so they wash their hands clean because the blame is through the agency.
Solidarity Across Borders organized a dance rally outside of Canada's Immigration Office to demand status for Jesus and all other undocumented people living here.
Le statut pour tous! Le statut pour tous! Le couvre-feu maintient les sans-papiers dans une situation désastreuse. D'autres ont perdu leurs emplois. D'autres ont été obligés de quitter leurs emplois à cause de leur statut, parce qu'ils risquent d'avoir des contrôles d'identité et que cela pourrait entraîner le renvoi dans leur pays.
Police have been conducting curfew checks to ensure that those who are going out are going to or coming from their essential job, with a letter from their employer stating so. Non-status essential workers fear for police finding out that they are undocumented during curfew checks, which puts them at risk for deportation. Last year, there were 5,731 deportations from Quebec, with 4,470 of these deportations from Montreal alone. The SPVM told Local 514 that it does not keep data regarding officers intercepting non-status migrants during the curfew. Before deportation, people are held in this holding center in Laval. A second holding center is currently under construction in Laval and predicted to be completed this year. If Montreal were a sanctuary city, non-status people would not need to fear the curfew. Montreal was previously declared a sanctuary city in 2017 under former mayor Denis Coderre.
Il n'est pas question que vous faites l'expulsion des gens ici. On va avoir ce réflexe de protéger les gens.
To properly qualify as a sanctuary city, Montreal's police force would no longer cooperate with the Canadian Immigration Enforcement. But Montreal police officers did not end cooperation with the Canadian Border Services Agency. In fact, calls from SPVM officers to the CBSA increased the year Montreal was declared a sanctuary city. The current administration has since removed the city's sanctuary status. with Mayor Valérie Plante stating that she feared it would give non-status people false security. The city has instead implemented a fearless access policy to offer municipal services to newcomers regardless of their status.
Je présente la motion visant à soutenir la régularisation des personnes sans statut légal.
The municipal government has passed a motion in support of regularization for all. The motion was proposed by Juliana Fumagalli, borough mayor for the neighborhood of Villeray-Saint Michel Park Extension.
It was a unanimous vote at City Hall. So this is what we're asking, making sure that everybody who's on Canadian territory be able to become a permanent resident.
This motion does not mean that all documented people in Montreal will be granted status, but that the municipal government supports status for all to put pressure on the federal government to provide this.
We don't have any powers with regards to immigrations. I feel that there's a lot to be done with regard to the SPVM and their links to the border services.
Some say the city has a clear option to help its undocumented residents. Montreal can issue its own documents.
I would just point to the example of New York City.
It's a historic day because for hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers, this will be the first time they could get any kind of ID.
If you have an address, and that also I should underline includes shelters, you can get a New York City ID. And the NYPD was given directives that this New York ID card would be considered a proper ID.
It is a beautiful card, but really what's beautiful about it is what it stands for. It stands for everyone being respected, everyone being included.
Not a solution for everything, but at least people would have an ID card that was valid, that didn't depend on status from the federal government.
Don't forget us, please. We are essential. We need status for all.